Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Medical Alumni Weekend 2022. My name is Brett Davidson. I lead our team in Alumni Relations and Development here at the Perelman School of Medicine. Dean Jameson sends his regrets for not being able to join us this evening, sends his deepest gratitude to our wonderful alumni community, and congratulations to this year's award recipients. Before we begin, I wanted to take a moment to recognize Dr. Helen Davies, who passed away in March at the age of 97. I know many of you joining us today will finally remember her for her caring nature with our students. She taught over 10,000 medical students in more than 7 decades at Penn. Helen made an indelible mark on many of you as a vocal advocate for those who are unrepresented in medicine, and a revered mentor who sang to her students about infectious diseases. I'm thrilled that two of our most active and, in my opinion, our greatest two alumni leaders, Dr. Marty Kanovsky and Dr. Robert Johnson, have enthusiastically offered to share duties tonight as Master of Ceremony. So first up, Dr. Marty Kanovsky, who's a member of our Medical Alumni Advisory Council. He's also the former chair of the Power of Penn Medicine campaign, and also a former Alumni Service Award recipient. The podium is yours, Dr. Kanovsky. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Brett, and welcome everyone. And I hope that you're all having a chance to see what's going on here at Penn, because there's been a lot of good things. If you had been to the speakers this afternoon, they were talking about messenger RNA. Of course, that brings up Catalin Carrico and Drew Weissman, who I'm sure you've all read about in the newspapers, who really started the platform for the messenger RNA, which has been used for the COVID viruses. They've won the Lasker Prize, Breakthrough Prizes, and a lot of other prizes, and we continue to see them be awarded a lot of other prizes. Some things that, and the Penn Medicine's had 18 FDA approvals in the past 3 years, and a lot of that I'm sure you've read through the CAR T-cell therapy. Recently in the New York Times of a decade-long remissions, and of Carl June leading that. But probably the most obvious thing that you see when you come here now is the new Hub building. That at least when Robert and I were here, they built the Hilton Hotel there, and we thought that was great. And that's gone. But hopefully you've had a chance to see the hospital, and it's really a state-of-the-art, beautiful facility. There's 65 emergency room beds with 2 CAT scanners on 2 floors. And to me, the interesting thing is when you see the rooms in the ER, you see the rooms on the floors, there's no curtains. There's just glass, but you can just press a button and it all gets shade, you can't see through it. The other thing is that, like, when you walk in the patient's room with your badge on, it tells you who they are and what their jobs are, because as you know, from a patient perspective, there's always people walking in with coats and you don't really know who's your doctor and who's not your doctor. And it always reminds me of the time when my father was in the hospital, and we were all sitting there, and this guy comes out and scrubs, and my uncle, who's not too bright, said, "See that guy there? You can see he's a surgeon." And my aunt a few minutes later said, "Looks like the surgeon's taking out the trash." So, but it's good for the patients to know who's who and what's going on. So, on behalf of Dean Jameson and the entire Penn Medicine community, I want to thank you all for the role that you've played. And we have some wonderful awards that Robert's going to be giving out. Robert, who was a classmate of mine, and we had adjoining tables for anatomy, Johnson, Kanovsky, So, of course, you're all friends with people in our part of the alphabet. And so on behalf of Dean Jameson and the Penn Medicine community, I'd like to thank the Faculty Selection Committee and the panel for their hard work and determination to select just a few exceptional awardees from among a staggering pool of possible candidates. And to present the awards is Dr. Robert Johnson.
Thank you, Marty. I'm very honored to be able to stand in for Dean Jameson today. However, I must say that I don't know if there's a metaphor for the importance of Dean Jameson at Perelman, but if you notice, it's taking 2 graduates to replace one Larry tonight along the way, so that's noted. But as honored as I am to stand in for Dean Jameson, I'm even more honored to be able to present the awards this evening to these distinguished graduates. And so the first up is the Young Alumni Service Award. It was established by the Office of Alumni Development and Alumni Relations in recognition of demonstrated leadership at the Perelman School of Medicine. And the award recipient for this year is Dr. Jason Hahn. He received his BA in Neuroscience at Columbia, his MD from Perelman in 2017, and he's currently a resident in cardiothoracic surgery at HUP. In his academic role, he's been interested in communicating about surgery to patients plainly and openly. He's a writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Some of you may have read his things over the past 6 years, and Stat News. He's also published in the New England Journal of Medicine, and he holds several editorial positions in national publications, including the Journal of the American College of Cardiology and Artificial Organs. He's an active volunteer in the Penn medicine community, serves as a member of the Council of Recent Graduates, and of course of the Medical Class 2017 Reunion Committee. Now these things aren't always accurate, you know, so I did a little bit of research on my own during the cocktail hour, and so you definitely have to ask Jason what he did to get 10 million hits on his TikTok account, okay? Okay, that's a little homework assignment for everyone. So Jason, for your dedication in engaging patients for the impact of medical science, I'm honored to present you with the Young Alumni Service Award.
Thank you for the kind introduction. It's an honor to be here tonight. When you get an award, you start thinking about how long have I been out of school and what have I done in the last 5 years, and you really start thinking about what you're grateful for. And I'll just briefly speak on how much Penn has meant to me over the last 10 years. When I arrived here in Philly, I was totally alone. My parents live in Korea. I packed 2 suitcases after my college graduation. I got off the airplane at JFK, took a train down to Philly, moved into my new place. The first couple winters, I didn't go home. I sort of hung around campus and I hung out with new friends that I made at Penn. And then you start thinking about not what you've done, but what the community around you has encouraged you to do, supported you to do, made you feel like you're accepted for doing whatever you're inspired to do. And there are a couple things that I want to point out. Maybe I'll start with the TikTok thing because it's on everyone's mind. Thanks for the 1 view after the 10 million first views. Surgery still remains a field that I think is mysterious to most people. And I think in this modern day and age, we want to bring out more and more aspects of being a surgeon or what undergoing surgery is to our patient population. And that really has been the focus of what I've been writing about for the last 6 years with the Inquirer, which started very serendipitously. But suffice it to say, when I first arrived here, I did not feel comfortable writing for a newspaper, let alone introducing myself to the first classmate that I met. But through meeting all these people here who are very inspiring, welcoming, I learned to write and share my voice. And that's something that's become more natural to me over time. 9 years, what a change that's been for me. Thank you for that. Secondly, I also want to talk about the fact that I've really grown a community of my own here. 9 years ago, as I mentioned, I carried 2 suitcases by myself. Today, I'm standing here before my beautiful wife, who was also a classmate of mine at the medical school. We're both surgical residents here. I'm specializing hearts. She's specializing in lungs. It's very poetic. and my in-laws, who are also gracious enough to join us this evening. So for me, to have come here 9 years ago in those shoes and to feel the way that I do this evening in front of all of you, I'm very thankful for everything that I've gained here and look forward to giving back in the years to come as well. So thank you so much for the award.
Thank you, Jason. The Alumni Service Award honors the recipients of generous, loyal, and energetic commitment to the Perelman School of Medicine in our development and alumni relations programs. Honorees are selected annually by the nominating committee of the Medical Alumni Advisory Council, which is the MAC. So our first Alumni Service Award is to Dr. David Hopper. He earned his MD from Perelman School of Medicine in 1967. They didn't put this in here, but by the math, I think that's your 55th. Currently Emeritus Associate Clinical Professor at Tufts University School of Medicine. He's had numerous leadership roles for the American Lung Association, American Academy of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology. He's been recognized by the American College of Allergy, Asthma and Immunology Distinguished Service Award in 2004. He's been very active in the Penn community. He served on the council which preceded the MAC. He's been a member of the medical class of the 1967 reunion committee, and importantly, he established the first MBA scholarship at the Perelman School of Medicine. He's helping to build a presence of alumni engagement in Naples, Florida, and the surrounding areas, and he's also an enthusiastic host on committees for Penn medicine events. So David, we're very proud of your exemplary clinical leadership and extremely grateful for your commitment and service to the Penn medicine community. Congratulations on winning this award. Okay, and not to be outdone, I did my homework on David too, okay? And so when they say that you're, you bleed red and blue, or you're red and blue, through and through, can you show them?
I was going to show them later, but...
Okay, go ahead. Which way does it go? This way?
Well, what a pleasure to be here. I thank you for the very kind introduction. And I was going to flash my coat later, but that's okay. Now, you ought to see what's on my underpants. That's right. I won't do that, I promise. I, of course, want to immediately thank my family for being here. I want to thank Penn for everything you've given me. I also want to thank the Alumni Council for this wonderful privilege. I also want to thank two people in particular, Brett and my dear friend Lisa Katz. Yes, I met Lisa 19 years ago in a pub on Beacon Hill, I believe, a small little pub. But my story really begins many years before that, when as a 3 months into my freshman year, I get a note from Dean Kennedy, Dean of Students at the time, to come to his office. Now understand, I was a fledgling, wet behind the ear Midwesterner. One of my fellow students called me a provincial Midwesterner. And here I was in the ivy halls of this wonderful school. And so I was scared. In fact, I was so scared, probably only my laundress and my knew for sure how scared I really was. So I showed up, he invited me to sit down, a little bit of chit chat. He said, "How are you doing?" I said, "Gosh, Dean Kennedy, actually, I got some grades back. I'm doing well. And things are tight, but we're working on it." And he said, "No, Dave," he said, "how are you really doing?" I looked at him quizzically and said, I'm doing well." He said, "No, I know you've got a family. You're here with a wife and a new child. How are things going?" And I was taken aback by it. And I said, "Well, things are tight. My wife has a teaching job in private school in Main Line. I'm giving blood regularly. I just joined the Penn sperm bank. But things are tight, literally." And he said, "Well, if you ever need more money," I was on a scholarship and a 2/3 scholarship, 1/3 loan. He said, "If you need any money, if things are not going well, please let me know." I never forgot that. Here was a man in his hallowed position in these hallowed walls, asking little me. He'd taken the time to understand I could possibly be in trouble and was willing to help. Now, fast forward 4 years, I graduate, and I get a call from the alumni office about donate. I think it was about an hour after graduation. And I, of course, was an intern making $4,000 a year, working 126 hours a week. But I still try to give something. Because of Dean Kennedy, I knew there were kids behind me, probably as much need as I did. And I wanted him to have the wherewithal to give these kids the opportunity he gave me. I never forgot that. So, again, I'm extremely proud to accept this. I'm honored, I'm humbled, and I sort of have a new tagline for Penn. The new tagline is, I'm really glad to be a Penn Med grad. Thank you to everyone, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, David. Our second recipient of the Alumni Service Award is Dr. Rona Wollenberg. She received her MD at Penn Medicine in 1987, so this is also a reunion year for her. She's currently Professor of Radiology and the Associate Dean of Admissions for the Donald and Barbara Zucker School of Medicine at Hofstra Northwell. And she's been past president of the Eastern Neuroradiological Society, the founding editor and editor-in-chief of Case in Point, which is an interesting online daily case presentation by the American College of Radiology. She gives back to the Perelman School of Medicine community by serving as co-chair and a member of the class of 1987 and reunion committee and a member of the MAC, and I've known her for a number of years. She's been a strong proponent of financial aid, which is very important to obviously the institution, and the support of medical education. So Rona, your service and contributions to your patients, your academic community, and the Perelman School of Medicine inspire us all. I'm honored to present you with the Alumni Service Award. Unfortunately, I don't have anything to embarrass Rona about, so.
I'll do it myself, it's okay. Fellow alumni, specifically my friend Don O'Rourke, Vice Chair of Neurosurgery, Medicine Class of '87. Thank you for being here tonight. My friend Dr. Julie Warman, Medicine Class of 1988, and my husband who's with me all the time through this journey. So it is truly an honor to receive the Alumni Service Award tonight from the Perelman School of Medicine, and congratulations to Dr. Cohen and Dr. Forster, who are recipients of distinguished graduate awards, as well as Dr. Hopper and Dr. Hahn on receiving Alumni Service Awards as well. I have the unique privilege of having attended the oldest medical school in the country, yet working for one of the newest, as the admissions dean of the Zucker School of Medicine at Hofstra Northwell. And it is from this vantage point that I am able to appreciate the challenges and advantages of being part of a very well-established institution versus being part of an endeavor that was built with very few constraints, but tasked with establishing itself quickly in the vast world of medical education with its long and rich history. And it is through my relationship with the Medical Alumni Advisory Council, or the MAC, that I have learned what is possible to accomplish, and at the same time shared some of my own institution's innovations as designers of a new and cutting-edge curriculum. But the most important thing that I have learned throughout all of this is that it's the students that are the drivers of change. I recall a recent MAC meeting where then students Celia Zhao, Michael Perez, Cheyenne Williams, and Eric Lee presented a program they started for first-generation low-income students that were either applicants or in medical school at the time. Being a first generation to go to college in a family, let alone a medical student, can be daunting. And this program provided these FGLI, first generation low income students, with a wealth of material and resources to guide them through the process. What amazing ideas I was able to bring back to my own institution, along with the contact information from these resourceful Penn Med students responsible for this incredible endeavor. The National Medical School community is one in which the sharing and aiding of others to build is a guiding principle, and for that I am grateful to sit on the MAC and hear what is possible when you are set up to succeed. Clearly, being set up to succeed has always been the case at Penn. My reunion class gathered on Zoom, and Caitlin helped us do that several weeks ago to pregame for our reunion. And despite having graduated 35 years ago, I am still amazed when I hear of all the department chairs, the medical school deans, the industry and practice leaders, the NIH grant recipients, and the list goes on and on and on that come from our class. And no doubt this is the same in every class that comes out of Penn Medicine. Our education has taken us in so many different directions, yet no matter the choice of career, there is a common thread, and that is leadership. That is why medical education, and particularly the education here, is so valuable. It is transformative in a myriad of ways. Where I attended undergrad, there is a pep song for alumni that starts with going back. Yet giving back may be the better way to approach institutions that have shaped you both personally and professionally. Over the past 35 years, I have tried my best to give back through service and philanthropy to Penn. And tonight, I am humbled by the recognition of this effort. I honor all of you here tonight who do the same thing, continuing to give back to Penn and to the Perelman School of Medicine. To my friends Brett, Lisa, Courtney, Kobe, Lauren, the list goes on and on. It's been a unique honor to be a part of this, and I really hope that I continue to give back along with everybody else in this room. Thank you, and have a great weekend.
Established in 1982, the Distinguished Graduate Award honors highly accomplished alumni for their outstanding service to society and to the profession of medicine. Notable accomplishments in either biomedical research, clinical practice, or medical education. And so there's a mistake here, Brett, because the next award winner, actually, it's not an either, it's all of them. And should actually, by this definition, win 3 awards this evening. Achievements that have resulted in national or international recognition. Honorees are selected by a panel that includes Penn Medicine departmental chairs and the MAC. This year we have 2 Distinguished Graduate Award recipients. The first is Dr. Alan Cohen, who is celebrating his 50th reunion this year. Alan has a very long list of accomplishments and obviously has touched a lot of people's lives in this room. Alan received his BA from Harvard College and then decided all the action was south of there in Philadelphia, where he's remained for the remainder of his career. Received his MD from Perelman School of Medicine in 1972, completed his internship residency and Hem/Onc fellowship at CHOP, and was chief resident there. He is currently the emeritus professor of pediatrics at Perelman, the medical advisor to the CEO, and co-director of the patient and family experience at CHOP. He joined the Penn faculty in 1978 to ultimately become the chief of the Division of Hematology, and he served 12 years as the Madeline and Leonard Abramson Endowed Chair in Pediatrics, chair of the Department of Pediatrics, and physician-in-chief at CHOP. His research interests have been myriad and have included thalassemia, sickle cell disease, and transfusional iron overload. He's developed a number of novel approaches to transfusion therapy and led clinical trials on currently licensed iron chelators. He's held research and institutional training grants from NIH and the CDC. Alan has more than 100 publications in very prestigious journals, such as New England Journal of Blood, The Lancet, the British Journal of Hematology, and the Journal of Pediatrics. You've never been in Stat News, though, Alan, I don't know. Talk to Jason. Co-editor of the International Guidelines for the Management of Thalassemia. So, Alan, your outstanding record is one of a true Penn citizen. You lead high-impact research on behalf of your patients while also serving this community in some of our most esteemed leadership roles. Congratulations on being named the Distinguished Graduate Award recipient.
Well, thank you so much to the School of Medicine and to everyone who is here tonight. I would like to just go off script for a moment and tell Jason that when I read the Sunday Inquirer, there are two things that I go after first, your column and Doonesbury. You know, I've never met you before tonight. I've always appreciated your writing, and I now appreciate your speaking in the same way that you write, with just incredible clarity. And my mother would be so pleased, because she always thought that's what life was all about. I'm absolutely honored to be a co-recipient of this award along with Dr. Forster. And in looking at the list, there are two previous recipients who came from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, or CHOP, who were very meaningful to me. One was Dr. Frank Oskie, and Frank was a remarkable pediatric hematologist who radiated his pleasure and his intelligence, and who made going into pediatric hematology absolutely irresistible. The other was Stan Plotkin. Stan proved through all of his virology and vaccine development that making an impact on children's lives when they're young pays off for years and years in terms of the health of individuals later on. So it's very nice to be on the same list with these two folks, as well as two members of our class of 1972 who have won this award. One was Ann Arvin, and the other Bob Barchi. So I feel particularly honored, especially at the 50th reunion, to be included with them. So I came to Penn Medicine, not known as Penn Medicine at the time, in 1968. I was delighted to get the acceptance to Penn. I had been very heavily influenced and attracted by the introduction of what was then called the new curriculum. And probably at that time was indeed the new curriculum, probably the first major change since the Flexner report. The idea of entering the clinical rotations at the beginning of the second year of medical school was absolutely appealing, not only to me, but to many members of that class that ultimately graduated in 1972. It was, however, I will admit, less appealing to the basic science faculty, who felt their part of the curriculum was being significantly undervalued, and to many of the clinical faculty who wondered how they were supposed to teach clinical medicine to a bunch of kids from a class who had been so badly prepared. Those who, in my class who are here tonight, Mitch Fromm, Andrea Marks, Mike Guthrie, and others, will certainly remember what it was like at that time, and they will remember that the curriculum was so compressed that in anatomy, we did not have time, bear with me on this one, to dissect the arms and the legs, which really means, and Scott, I say this with you in the background, that accepting a surgeon from our class in orthopedics would be probably something you'd want to think twice about. I'd also like to thank Penn for ruining my Christmas holidays in 1968. I got a call from the Dean of Students, who was clearly not Dean Kennedy, because this was a very different kind of call. And he was calling about my performance on the final anatomy exam. And suffice it to say, it was not a congratulatory call. But it did prove to me, after my vacation was ruined, that giving someone a second chance can sometimes be a worthwhile long-term investment. So I will at least be thankful for that part. In the end, the new curriculum and all of the curricular changes that have followed have made the medical school an absolutely extraordinary example of innovation and success. And I think this theme is just coming out over and over again this evening. I've had the rare opportunity to work with Penn medical students continuously for the past 50 years. And I have seen how the cultures and opportunities of this incredible medical school have attracted students of widely diverse backgrounds, experiences, and interests, and has prepared them with a curriculum that prepares people for an equally diverse choice of career pathways. That to me is an incredible part of what Penn Medicine is all about. And I could not be prouder of my alma mater and more grateful to have been part of this great institution throughout my entire career. I would also finally like to thank Penn for one of my classmates, Mitch Friedman, whose girlfriend at the time we were first-year medical students, Barbara, was at Bryn Mawr, and she and Mitch set me up on a blind date with Michelle Langer during my first year in medical school. Only later did I learn that Michelle had sworn to all of her classmates who cared to listen that this would be the last blind date she would ever go on. She had had her fill. As far as I know, she was true to her oath. You take some things for granted, right or wrong, and we are approaching our 50th anniversary a year from now. On a somewhat more somber note, Michelle's health makes it impossible for her to be here tonight, but in its own way is also a tribute to the type of people who come to Penn to work and who provide the compassion and the care and the expertise that has meant so much to us during this time as well. So thank you to everybody. This award is absolutely cherished on my part, just as the medical school is so dearly cherished. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Our second recipient of the Distinguished Graduate Award is Dr. James Forster. He earned his MD from the Perelman School of Medicine in 1963, completed his internship at HUP, and was an internal medical resident at UCLA Harbor Medical Center, where he completed his cardiology fellowship at Harvard. He's currently the Emeritus Professor and Professor of Medicine at the David Geffen School of Medicine at UCLA. In the 1970s, he became director of the cardiovascular research and a director of NIH's Center of Research in Ischemic Heart Disease, and later became the chief of the division of cardiology at Cedars-Sinai in the 1990s, where he did a lot of his pivotal work. During his tenure as chief, the cardiovascular research program became a world leader in thrombolytic therapy, nuclear cardiology, in the Women's Heart program, the disease program, and the program was always ranked very highly by the US News. He has seminal contributions in the field. He led the development of the hemodynamic monitoring using Swan-Ganz catheter and the Forster classification of hemodynamic subsets of acute MI. The Diamond-Forster method of probability analysis in coronary heart disease is used worldwide. He developed vital techniques in coronary angiography, discovered that coronary thrombosis was universally present in patients with unstable angina, and he served on the editorial boards of all the principal journals in cardiology, published over 400 full-length manuscripts, and was the author of some interesting books here: The Heart Healers, The Misfit Mavericks, The Rebels Who Created the Greatest Medical Breakthrough of Our Lives, which traces the golden age of of Cardiology. His honors include the Leon Goldman Award for Excellence in Laser Research, the Distinguished Scientific Achievement Award of the American Heart Association in Los Angeles, and the Jen Kellerman Award for Research in Preventive Cardiology. Now, unfortunately, James couldn't be with us here tonight, but I've been informed that if I push this button, he's going to greet us.
I'm deeply grateful for this wonderful honor and to Penn Med for its role in my career. They say that the child is father of the man. I am a child of Penn. I was born at Pennsylvania Hospital. My dad was a Hupp doctor, plunked into the middle of an Asian jungle when Penn Center Hospital in World War II. As a medical student and intern, I did my first medical research with Dr. Al Weingrad, an endocrinologist at Penn, and my first foray into medical writing was when I won the History of Medicine Prize at Penn. Now, what I learned from my mentors at Penn is that someday in your career, a door will open, and beyond it, you'll envision a glimmering possibility, and you'll feel uncertainty, but grasp the opportunity. And so when I went to my first cardiology job in Los Angeles, my mentor, Jeremy Swan, had just invented a catheter, but neither he nor Gans did any catheterization. So it fell to me in my one-bed coronary care unit to do the catheterization. And in that unit, I defined at the bedside all the hemodynamics of myocardial infarction. Published it in the New England Journal. It became called the Forster classification. And then we also defined the effect of all the cardiac drugs at the bedside. Mortality fell from 30% to 15%, and in the process, Cedars grew from being an unknown hospital to now being ranked number 3 in the country. So that's why I'm here today, and that's why I am so grateful to the University of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
So thank you, James. So we're very proud of all of our alumni, and all of you in your own way are contributing to the Penn legacy and in its mission. And special congratulations to our award recipients, Jason, Alan, David, and James, this evening. You should be justifiably proud of your achievements, and we're absolutely delighted to be able to recognize your significant contributions to the field of medicine and commitment to the Perelman School of Medicine, and we celebrate you. You indeed honor us. Well, it being Marty, I'm assured that Marty, I won't even ask the question. Well, I will. Marty, do you have any concluding thoughts?
They're right here.
Okay, good.
So, thank you, Robert, and congratulations to all our esteemed alumni recipients, and one more round of applause for all of them. And Brett and his team always give me bullets and things to say, so I know what to say, but I always go off script too a little bit. But I also want to follow directions, so it says, feel free to share any thoughts on the award recipient. So it's like, well, Rona's the one I know the best, so I have to say something about Rona, but congratulations to everyone. But I want to thank Rona for accepting into medical school my son's best friend, who went to her medical school and is now a pediatrician, and by sheer coincidence, is now the pediatrician for my first cousin's grandchildren, who is also a first cousin of Anita and Paul Gross. And also my great niece's kids. So I wanted to thank her for all of that. And also, you heard that she is Dean of Admissions of Hofstra, so the line of people who want to talk to her will start over there. But it's really been an honor for Robert. I did what it said. It's been an honor for Robert and me to help celebrate this, and thank you all for coming, and please enjoy the rest of the evening.